but action and everything that goes with it. And so to create a distance, for me to say that I am Shivam requires me to create a total distance, which is very difficult to begin with. Even being a karma yogi also requires a distance, in terms of reminding myself that I should be a contributor, and I make my mind deliberately entertain that attitude. So karma yoga is the first step and more practical step in the day-to-day working life. And Shivoham is when you are meditating, or when you have the leisure, when you can create that distance. But performing the daily activities drags us into that. We are swept by the various pressures coming from within and without. And so the distance becomes very difficult. So therefore attitude is easier. And that is the means of that. Finally, Shivoham.
A follow-up question, Swamiji. So how does one act when one is a witness to their own body? I mean, that's the truth. I'm the witness to my own body in this entire creation, which is unreal. And I'm trying to, obviously, in this unreality also, I can do and drop the sense of doership there, because I'm not identifying with my body. I'm acting from, there's no I am also. This witness, the so-called witness, that's not even the I, needs to, which is at that point how to so that the raga dveshas can be dropped and everything can be dropped, and only what is required as the right action, without any judgment or without any raga dveshas, can be performed. I mean, in order to get to that state, in karma yoga it might be still difficult, as Ishvara Arpanam and Prasada Buddhi, just following those two. Without the raga dveshas might still interfere.
But that is the karma yoga. That you want to do it without raga dvesha itself is karma yoga. So an attempt to do that is a first step. And therefore we need not have to strain ourselves to create that distance where I am actionless. But then you can't do anything. If you are really actionless, then you cannot do anything. The fact that you want to do something and you are doing something means that the kartrutva or doership is there. What is seeking is to make that doership sattvic. That is why the contributor instead of a consumer. Overall. So you don't have to become a witness of a body, etc. You are an ego, accept it, except that you try to become a sattvic ego or become a bhakta. And creating the distance during meditation is more feasible than doing it while you are doing things, because it always involves some pressure of time. There are timelines. There are goals to be met with. There are people who are evaluating you. All these pressures are there. So with all of this, to say that I am a non-doer is not possible. So when you are really not doing anything, then you can see that I am a non-doer. When you are doing something, I am a good doer. That's the practical thing.
Something follow-up question. So, I mean, do enlightened Swamis also, it's difficult to think, I mean, I'm sure you might say if I'm asking all these questions, obviously I'm not there yet, and that's a standard answer. So, but do enlightened, so I'm I would like to think that enlightened Swamis are acting with a sense of non-doership always. So there's no sense of doership in any of them.
It's the habitual error which is the problem. And more nididhyasa, more you overcome the habitual error, more spontaneous you become. So when you become spontaneous, then you are things happening without your doing it. That's the spontaneity. So from this point, the spontaneity is a process of growth. And so it depends on where a person is, whether he has become a spontaneous, in the process of becoming that. But it would be, it certainly is, likely that there are people who are enlightened and who are spontaneous and things just happen. In varying degrees happens, but perhaps in total degree, it may call a lot of steadiness or abidance, firmness. So more firmness there is in the knowledge, then it becomes possible.
Swamiji, one does not want to have desires and projections and expectancies, etc. But sometimes a desire pops up in the mind. You haven't asked for it to pop up, but there it is. How do you... sometimes it's some simple little thing that one can just dismiss from the mind, but sometimes it's something that sticks a little bit. How do we get rid of those desires? Is there a time when they won't even pop up? Or when they do, how do we dismiss them properly?
So first is, if the desire pops up, let it pop up and go.
Okay.
It pops up and does not go, then we have to address it, that what do you want? Now it can be a desire which needs to be fulfilled, not that you are hungry, there is a desire for food and things of that nature. So there are some basic necessities, and the desire to fulfill those basic necessities are acceptable. So we have to ask, what is the nature of that desire? What am I seeking by fulfilling that desire? What does the mind seek? We are seeking pleasure or gratification, then we have to address that desire. If it's a desire for something that the body, etc. needs, then we have to think, we may have to fulfill it. So a desire that pops out and goes away, nothing to worry about.
Thank you.
Namaste, Swamiji. I think your message towards derive happiness in acting, in doing, I think that's definitely an eye-opener. But there are actions of something that we don't usually do, it's easy to apply there. And where we do it on a regular basis, like even household work or mechanical work, even at the work there are things that we continue to do. How to really see, look happiness from there, because that's always been a challenge. I think that's one question. The second question is how we can apply karma yoga, means derive happiness in while dealing with the children. Okay, because there's more emotional comes into the play at that time, and how we can create the distance and how we can derive happiness in delivering what we need to tell, rather than expecting, where the reaction could be anything completely opposite to what we are expecting. Is that a question?
Right. So, first is how to learn to enjoy the daily routine work. It is, when you call it routine work, that means perhaps you are not alert when that work is happening. Sometimes things are done habitually or mechanically, of course, then you are not around to enjoy it. So, as much alertness as we can cultivate, then work will not. The mechanicalness means lack of alertness. So, alertness is the way of slowly overcoming mechanicalness. Alertness of what I am doing, what they call mindfulness. Be where you are. Your mind is where the body is, and body is where the action is. So, that is a sadhana, great sadhana, to be alert or mindful in what we are doing. Then you tell your mind, now enjoy, learn to enjoy this. See, if the mind is present, then the question of enjoying comes. If it is happening by itself, mind is not even there, then the enjoyment, question of enjoyment doesn't come. So first to bring the mind where the activity is, and then suggest the mind. Mind, come on, learn to enjoy this. Then mind will find way of enjoying it. So it is then a matter of our will that I want to enjoy this. How do I enjoy? Same routine work, how do I enjoy? But when you are alert, then you find it's not quite routine, there is always some variety if you are alert. If we are present or mindful of what is happening, then that itself will be able to source of enjoyment. The mindfulness itself is a nice thing to enjoy. Then you can always remember what grace is there. That I am doing this, how nice, how many factors involved in my doing this. And so you can bring all this listening to the mind at that time. That how any action is possible when so many factors are favorable. Even in the mechanical, like mowing the lawn or something like that. So then if your mind is available, then you can apply the mind to thinking how many factors have made it possible. The lawn mower is there, lawn is there first of all. Lawn, this is not an ordinary thing to have lawn, He doesn't have that. And then lawn mower is there. And then time is there. You have the power to, the ability to do that. Otherwise you need somebody else to do it for you. So, if the mind is there, you can bring about an awareness of what all is going on, or what all is given to you to perform that simple task. And then you can watch how the grass is flying away, you can watch the movement. If the mind is there, then you can watch things. If you can enjoy a flower, you can enjoy also the little, the grass also. Then comes the question with children, what to do with that. Well, it is attachment, mainly expectation. And expectation is also because you want the well-being of the child. That you want the child to be such and such when he grows up, or even as it is now, it should act this way, behave this way. So, there are expectations. Ask yourself, are these expectations for the well-being of the child, or do I have some agenda in those expectations? You may not have, there may be. So, in the expectation from child or for anybody, we should also ask, do I have an agenda? Suppose a child does, is it that it is for myself that I am asking? So that I will look good for the people, somehow in some way do I stand to benefit from this? And we try to make it as agenda-free, personal agenda-free as we can, number one. And number two, am I kind to the child when I am expecting this? Meaning that when the child does not do that, we take for granted he does not do. He does not do, or is not able to do. But this is simple, why not? But maybe emotionally, so for being able to do something, you require not only the ability, but the mind also is required. So, child doesn't feel like doing it. Meaning that there can be factor within there, because of which you find that the child does not respond according to expectation. So to you it is very clear that this is doable. To a child it doesn't look like doable. Can be any reason. I don't want to do. That is first thing. Why should I do? Who are you to ask me to do? The various things can be there, which are the obstacles for the child to do. But sure, there are some obstacles within which is why the child is not able to do. So first is the kindness. Expectation is all right. If I try to keep it free from personal agenda, that means that it is for the well-being of the child. And then kindness. That there are some difficulties the child has. That it doesn't want to do is also a difficulty. No, you tell me I will not do, that is also a difficulty. What I'm saying is that difficulties are there for whatever reason. So, being sympathetic to the difficulties. We are not very sympathetic. This also we cannot. So, maybe when I was like that, I was able to do it, or some other child is able to do, and so we are not very sympathetic at the not doing something. Or we presume that it doesn't want to do, he's defying me, etc. And so, with kindness, if we sort of try to evaluate the situation, then we may be more available to deal with the child, help the child, or work with the child. Find some way of making him do, or do it himself with the child, and some ways you can then find out what are the ways to make the child do. Can I join the child? I don't know what, But kindness is very important, basically. We lose patience. Not that as a parent you are kind and loving, there is no question. But when you lose patience, the kindness goes away. Then it is possible we become insensitive also, and not quite appreciate the feeling of the child. Or we may have already judged that that feeling is not acceptable, you are not supposed to feel that way. That also may be there. So, when we get impatient, and then when we get angry, we have to ask ourselves, what are the things involved? Why am I impatient? I don't have patience. How long Swamiji can do that? And they may be trying. Meaning that it is quite possible they keep pushing your buttons and they try. I would not put it past children, they know, how to manipulate also. But then when we get impatient, then we are being manipulated anyway. Moment we get angry, which means we are manipulated. If not by the child, by our own mind. So by being impatient, by being angry, nothing is accomplished. And I am progressively making it more and more difficult for my own self. And so, tell the mind, just be kind. There is some reason, some difficulty the child has as to why it is not doing it. And it doesn't want to do, but that is also a difficulty. You don't want to do something is also a difficulty. Sometimes you don't feel like doing things. I don't want to do. We also have that. food is not there. I don't want to take trouble. Why should I do it? That also. But all of their difficulties. We may not be very sympathetic to them, because if I was you, I would be doing it all this anyway. That's so we may perhaps put ourselves in that position and see how I would have been doing it. Well, look you. But that person is that person, not you or somebody else. Oh, see, your cousin does, your brother does it this much, and you don't do. But this child is this child, not someone else. And so, but being kind, meaning bringing back the kindness that is there in you, bringing that where to play, bringing to play in that condition, Bring back your kindness. In impatience, it goes away. When we become impatient, the kindness goes away. We become a little insensitive. We can even become cruel.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Swamiji, challenging. The challenging part is sometimes if I say something to my daughter, she said, Puji Swamiji said, you have to accept the people as they are, Amma. You have to accept me as like. It is a little challenging to me to argue or anything. Say to her.
No, just be kind. See, these children are pretty smart. They put whatever argument they want at a given situation to justify what they want to do or they don't want to do. So, Puja Swamiji says you should accept the child. Puja Swamiji also says accept the mother as the mother is. It goes both ways, number one. It's not just one way, And accepting child does not mean allowing the child to be hurt. So sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. You explain her. Sometimes, because child, suppose you are not well, you are sick, and you need medication. No, I don't want medication. Now, suppose I accept you as you are. That's going to be, it would hurt you. So sometimes we need to do things, when we expect children, where child does not understand what is right for her. And therefore, we can expect nothing wrong. So, accepting child as it is doesn't mean permitting the child to do what the child wants to do. That's what not, it doesn't mean that. It means it being kind to child, that's all. Not being permissive. So to explain what Puja Swamiji means.
Swamiji, this is a very simple, easy thing. I was in the dining room and I saw that there was a family who did Mundan for their boy. What is the significance of Mundan?
Well, this one of these. What if you want to look at the worldly usefulness is for better hair growth. So I think it has arrived from that basically. The hair grows better. But only for the boys, not for the girls. In most communities, in some communities girls also do that. Possible. Yeah. Huh?
South, they have prayer to give up hair. A lot of women, even when they're 30s, 40s. So if someone is sick,
that is okay. Yeah, that's a vow that you take, that I will give my hair for fulfilling some desire. That is giving dhanam. That is equivalent to dhanam. For a girl to give hair is a big sacrifice. For women, yeah.
My parent... Yeah.
Not the city people.
My parents took us to Hardwar to do the Mundan. And I don't know what the significance was.
Then it is made a religious ceremony. A lot of things are then given religious, character along with that. So then there will be some mantra chanting, this, that and so forth also involved there. Like Karnaveda, piercing the ear, also has some significance in terms of it being like acupuncture, and also certain saves a child from certain diseases and so on. Tirupati. Yeah. In Tirupati, has a big business. Yeah. They get tons and tons of hair.
Sense of pride that after, if you give your hair, that your pride, your ahankar is been given to God.
But that is for a sannyasi.
Oh.
That when you shave your head, that is symbolizing that you are giving up the attachment. But not for children, etc. They have not yet grown to that point. Donating hair is good. If it is useful, it is good. Donating to Tirupati is not donating. It's a vow. It's like putting money in a hundi. Which they may going out of that for the cancer patients. Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Very good. Tirupati also does it. But in Tirupati, people offer hair as a vow, as a dhanam, for some reason, either as a prayer for somebody, or as a fulfillment of one's, vow. That if God does this for me, then I'll offer hair to Him. But He has to do first. And then Say that again, please.
What is the difference between tapasya and bhakti?
Tapas and bhakti. Tapas is a deliberate suffering that one accepts as a way of discipline and offering. For example, fasting is a tapas or a penance. So it's a deliberate self-suffering that you accept it for purification of mind or for strengthening the willpower. So this tapas is for strengthening the willpower, self-control. And also, by that way, purification of mind. Bhakti is devotion. Love or devotion for Ishvara is called bhakti. And it may or may not result in an action. Bhakti is mainly an attitude you have in your mind. And that may bring about an action in terms of making an offering to the Lord. Tapas is self-denial. Bhakti is offering. Looks like we are done early today, huh? Self-denial. Yeah, a deliberate self-denial. It is, in a way, also, it could be an offering also. It is done as an offering to Lord also. It is done in fulfillment of vow also. It is done to increase my willpower also. It is done also to increase my capacity to suffer or put up with suffering. But any tapasya will involve suffering at the level of self, like fasting. Now, when he says self-denial, that you are hungry and you are not eating. For someone like me, fasting may not mean anything, because suppose there is no hunger, then there is no self-denial at all. So, but then anyway, so not eating when you are hungry, not drinking water when you are thirsty, walking when you are tired. See, what you can normally do, that is not called tapasya. So normally you may be walking 4 or 5 miles a day anyway. But then walking to a pilgrimage place, to a shrine or something which is 10, 15, 20 miles away would be penance. People go, Padayatra is very common in India, elsewhere also it may be. And so there is a Lord Krishna's temple near Ahmedabad, it's I guess 70, 80 kilo. People just go walking, means they don't sit down in between. He starts from Ahmedabad on foot, in between does not sit, let alone sleep. So this is a tapasya. People just go prostrating. So recently somebody sent me the pictures. There is this in Munda, this Mount Govardhan. And Vaishnavas typically do the pradakshina. It's about 22 kilometers. And so it would take about 6 hours, at least 7 hours or 8 hours, up to 8 hours. So there are some who do that by prostrating, Satsang Namaskara. Do that. Now then there are some people who do it 108 times at one location and then goes. Sure, 108 times? It's like months and months, I don't know how long it will take. There are those Tibetan people who do this Satsang Namaskara in circumambulating Mount Kailas, in that weather. You do it for 15, 20 times and everything gets swollen, there are scratches everywhere, it's not easy. So, this all people do. All kinds of things they do. Invite self-suffering. Huh?
For being a good bhakta, is it required to have a kind of some tapasya or some keeping God in your mind and doing kind of self-control or self-denial, kind of that tapasya?
Bhakta means making an offering to Ishvara. But then, this is also offering that you stay hungry for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days is an offering. That you undertake this kind of physical exertion, also an offering. And so different kinds of offerings are there. As long as in that offering there is this attitude of pleasing the Lord. So, because I can offer what I have. Everybody cannot offer money. So, you can offer what you have. So these people who do this project may be very poor people also. Some sadhus are there, very poor, but they have this to offer. And therefore, if you want to offer, you will always find something that you can offer.
So for an example, Ravana, right? Ravana was tapasvi and he was worshipping Lord Shiva. So can we call him as a bhakta also? But because his attitude was not good. I mean, what he wanted to attain and use it, he did tapasya, but then whatever he gained, he did not use it for good. So
that is a different thing. But he was a bhakta of Lord Shiva because he performed penance for years together before Lord Shiva to please him. Then after having pleased Lord Shiva, what he does with that, that shows his tamas, the tamasic mind. And so, tamasic bhaktas are there, rajasic bhaktas are there, sattvic bhaktas are there. So Dhruva will do the same thing as sattvic bhakta. These are called rajasic anyway by some people. But anyway, so Ultimately, all Rakshasas are tamasic people and destructive people. So they use their capacity to suffer for destruction of the world. That's kind of a distorted mind they have. You cannot call him bhakta, but Lord Krishna describes these people also. Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante taponarajanaha. Maya, so damba ahankara sanyuktaha. Madamana, dambamana, madanvitaha. So with damba, manam, etc., they do this. Lord Krishna calls them tamasik tapasvi.
Swamiji, talking about this actor role example. So, like Amitabh is an actor and he's acting like 2-3 movies in a day. He's a beggar in one role. He's a hero in singing another role, and he's doing something else. And none of the actions he performed in the role is impacting him. That is fine, and if we look at our own roles in that fashion, we are not going to carry what happens or what we did in the role in our lives. But what about Amitabh having insecurity in performing these roles? I mean, some kind of feedback coming about those roles, the actions he performed in those roles, and feeling bad or low or insecure and limited. I mean, how do we address, is that the right question?
That is there.
How do we address?
That is not the actor, that is the person.
I mean,
Amitabh, the person, has insecurities, expectations, etc. Amitabh, the actor, is performing roles and not affected by the roles. Amitabh, the person, has his ego gratification, therefore the performance is important, the feedback is important. That is Amitabh, the person.
so how do we apply that to ourselves in that example? I mean, so I'm the person, I'm doing various roles, my dad and employee and relative and citizen. And so when I perform these roles, I can be detached. I mean, those roles don't have to impact me, but similar to Amitabh's example, what if it starts impacting me in terms of I start becoming insecure because of the performance or outcome of the role? In the movie, the outcome of the role is scripted by the director, like he loses his job or he breaks a leg, and he's not feeling bad at night about it. But here in our role, if I break a leg or I lose my job, I'm going to feel bad at night. So there seems to be that question in that example.
Then these attitudes come. As a person, these are the attitudes that we try to imbibe. The attitude of being a contributor. See, being role, actor and role is to create the distance between role and actor. But then when I'm acting, what attitude do I have is what is taught here. Of a contributor, of having samatvam, have a graceful acceptance.
How does this person live in peace at night if not reacting on the outcome of the role? I mean, be a karma yogi, I mean, do the role as Ishwar, Arpanam and Prasada Buddhi and forget about it at night and don't even carry it with you later?
It will not be carried. You don't have to forget it. You can't forget it. Only if you had this attitude that it won't stick to you. If you had the attitude of accepting gracefully, then it doesn't stick to you. So it's not you to forget at night. It won't bother you. And otherwise, you have no choice of forgetting something, because that thing sticks itself to you. With this attitude, it won't stick itself to you. You follow what I'm saying? See, you say how to forget. You cannot forget at night because that thing doesn't let you go, doesn't let go of you. But if you had the right attitude, it won't stick to you in the first place. With prasada buddhi, that outcome won't stick to you. It won't create the reaction.
At the same time, it's critical that one needs to, if there's any gap to address that role, one needs to attain that or work towards it. Right. If there's, I have to learn something proactively. Yeah. And that's another way to overcome.
Not identifying with the role is one thing, and even after not identifying, having the right attitude is another thing. So two things. You had some question? Yeah.
Pranam Swamiji. I had a question about deep sleep. So in deep sleep, there's an experience of ananda, and but also the ahankara is not there. So in deep sleep, is there a status of sakshi? That's my question, Swamiji. Is there a sakshi if the ahankara is not there?
No, there is no sakshi in the real sense. No. Because ahankara is a sakshi, and he is not there. So we call consciousness also a sakshi only in a secondary sense. In primary sense, only ahankara can be sakshi.
Ahankara with the consciousness.
Ahankara always is consciousness. Yeah.
When you wake up, you are sakshi or witness to the sleep.
When you wake up, you are not witness to the sleep, you are experiencer of sleep. It is said that the ahankara experiences that happiness of the sleep with subtle vrittis. And therefore when that same fellow wakes up in the morning, he remembers what he experienced. He was experiencer.
Thank you so much.
You had a question?
Swamiji, this morning you mentioned that all the actions should be to please the God, and it should be done with the attitude of pleasing the God, with keeping dharma in mind. Now, in the office environment, we perform the action, but now suppose we look upon our boss or our colleagues without any, say, colleague without any competition, or boss as a, and do the best we can to please our boss's requirement, seeing him as not as a person, whatever his attitudes are, but as a God. Or and do the action, do our duties or whatever work I need to do to please him. Or with the colleague also do the same way. Do the best you can and have the attitude that you try your best, but suppose he still criticizes you or we are not satisfied with our performance, then he may say something, but then I say, well, this is the best I can do and I will try better next time, but this is the best I can do now. Is it good attitude? Is the right way to do it?
It is good attitude, but when you say pleasing the boss or pleasing somebody, it may be perhaps pleasing their ego, which is okay, provided pleasing their ego is for the overall well-being of the organization where you're working.
That's exactly what I meant. Now, if they give me duty as whatever, I'm in engineering, I have to perform duties, and he expects things out of me, and then he will be happy with my performance, and I try my best to, and looking at him, I do that.
It is a good attitude, but still, whether that person his expectations are for his personal agenda, or his expectations are for the best of the organization, ideally you do something for the betterment or the best of your organization, of which your boss is, one of the important person. But what should you do? Suppose sometimes bosses expect you to do things which are wrong. Or, apart from wrong in terms of values, sometimes they go against the interest of the organization. There are people who expect things, doesn't matter what happens to the country, what happens to these, as long as they tend to benefit, sometimes they do not care what happens to the larger interest. So what I'm saying is, pleasing the boss means whether his expectation is in keeping with dharma or not.
That I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
When I said what I meant was when I performed my duties, keeping, of course, dharma in mind means if he wants me to do the wrong thing, then I should not do that.
Right, yes.
That's what I meant.
And ideally, his expectation should be for the best of the organization.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. It's rare to find everybody has personal agenda, but what I'm saying is that ultimately Ishvara means totality. Totality means the best, that you look upon your organization as doing things as an offering to society, to Ishvara at large. And you are one who makes offering to your organization. Through that you offer to society, to that you offer to Ishvara. So how your action becomes an offering to Ishvara is ultimately wherever you work, you are produce some product which is meant for the society. And again, if that product is for the goodness of society, making cigarettes, for example, there are people, then they are offering society something is going to damage them. Whether to work for that or not is a personal question. Suppose they are producing alcohol and stuff like that, which are well known to hurt people, but they are doing business out of that. So some people don't work for these kind of organizations. No, I won't work for them because I don't agree with what they do. But this is another extreme case. But all I'm saying is usually every organization provides service or product to the society, which is their offering. And you are there to offer to your organization. So you offer to your boss, you offer like that, ultimately it goes to Ishvara. But that way you are an offerer to Ishvara through all that link. So you may try to see your role that way also. As to how what I do, in what way it contributes, even a little way, to the well-being of the society. And so if you look upon your role that way, that will be a good thing. Okay, yeah.
The Buddhi Yoga you mentioned. Can you explain one more time, please?
Buddhi Yoga, two meanings of Buddhi were given. One meaning is Buddhi means attitude. And second meaning is Buddhi means knowledge. So Buddhi Yoga can be Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. When Buddhi means attitude of Samatva, attitude of Ishvararpan, then that's Buddhi, which is Yoga or attitude. If Buddhi means self-knowledge, then that becomes the ultimate goal through Karma Yoga. So Buddhi Yoga in terms of Karma Yoga becomes a means for Buddhi Yoga in terms of Jnana Yoga. But says Shankaracharya ji, that important is Jnana Yoga. That ultimately you are performing karma as a means of jnanam. That should be very clear. So you are devoted to jnanam. Be devoted to jnanam. And through that your devotion to karma is there as a means of jnanam. That is how the interpretation is. But Buddhi has two meanings. Buddhi Yoga means Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. Means an end.
There is 2 chapters in Bhagavad Gita.
No, in Bhagavad Gita, 2 chapters is what is Jnana Karma Sanyasa Yoga and Karma Sanyasa Yoga. There is no difference. Karma Sanyasa is there. Jnana Karma is Karma Sanyasa with Jnanam. But there is no difference between the sannyasa. Both sannyasas are by virtue of knowledge. There is sannyasa in terms of an action where you give up things. There is sannyasa by way of discovering Atma as akarta. So in both the chapters, that karma sannyasa is by way of knowledge of the actionless self. All right, good. So we'll conclude here. Very nice. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamandaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.